Alright guys, so I stopped at the pet store today and I just wanted to talk a little bit about pet food. Now, I have cat food and dog food here, and I wanted to talk about just the ingredients in pet food a little bit, get a little bit of information out to you guys. Now this goes for all types of pets. This goes for basically any pet you have. All pets need a certain diet, and you got to look at in nature what they eat basically is the point of this. For ferrets, for cats, for hedgehogs, for dogs. I'm going to talk mostly about cats and dogs today with the food I have here to show, but this goes, like I said, for any pet. So first off, let's go to dog food. Now I feed my cat, dog, and ferret most of the time raw or unseasoned cooked meat. It depends what type of meat I have and how I got it prepared. Usually feed them just meat. They're meat eaters. But there are certain other things you can give them. Now, when you buy dog food, I have lots of friends that have dogs, and not saying anything bad about them, but I have friends that have dogs that go into the store and they'll buy the cheapest, biggest bag of dry dog food they can without looking at the ingredients or anything. Now I notice that their dogs often, they're not sick or anything, but I notice often that they have very runny poop and things like this. Now, again, this might be kind of sick to some of you guys, but it's just natural health stuff. Think about if you're a human and you have really runny poop. It's not really, you don't really feel like you kind of might feel like you ate something wrong. You might feel like, hey, what did I eat that caused that, It's not necessarily a good thing. So with dog and cat food, ferret food, bird food, any type of food, you want to get them as close to natural as possible so that their digestive system can digest it properly and so that they have the healthiest life and they don't feel sick. So I've got a couple brands here that I picked out at the store. They were lower cost brands, but they were kind of in the middle of the road. They weren't the cheapest, not the most expensive. But for the dog food here, I don't use canned dog food very often, but I picked up some basically for this video. And basically on your dog food, you want to make sure that there's very little amounts of wheat or flour. You can have some rice. Rice is okay for them, it seems, but you want to get away from wheats, flours, things like that. You want to make sure your first 5 ingredients are something of meat. Byproducts, lots of people say stay away from byproducts, and yes, you most of the time should, but if a meat byproduct is in like the 4th or 5th ingredient, that's okay. It's still meat. It's like basically ground up, who knows what type of meat. Could be ground up bones, stomach areas, whatever. That's actually okay for a dog. Now the more real meat it has, the better. So in this brand I got, this one's actually for senior dogs, but I looked at the ingredients, I just bought one of these, and it's actually a senior adult dog food. And this one's main ingredients, the first 2 are turkey, then chicken. Now, if you don't know too much about ingredient lists, the closer to the beginning the ingredients are, the more content they have in the product. So the first 2 ingredients are turkey and chicken, meaning the highest 2 ingredients in this can are turkey and chicken, so that's good. Then we have some brown rice. Again, rice is okay. It's not the best, of course, but it's okay. Stay away, like I said, from flour. Next we have turkey broth and chicken broth. So the first 5 ingredients are turkey, chicken, and some rice. Pretty good. And then we have salmon, not bad. And then we have some, they like to add some veggies sometimes. They feel it gives animals nutrients, and it might. In nature, animals don't really eat these types of things, so it's kind of a catch-22 or whatever, if that's the right word to say here. They don't really eat them in nature, but people think that they are good for dogs, and they might be. But I try to stay away from them. That's why I feed a raw diet. But we do have salmon, then we have potato and carrot. Carrots I've heard are good for dogs, actually. Then we have mackerel and herring. So basically, out of the first 8 ingredients, 5 of them are meat, or real meat. And then we have some other stuff, herring oil, we have some apple, we have some alfalfa sprouts, we have a whole egg, and then we have some amino acids and stuff. So this food actually isn't that bad. It's mostly meat with a little bit of veggies. Pretty good. Go to the next one. These are basically the same. One is a chicken and rice, one's a beef and rice. So one's going to have mostly chicken, one's going to have mostly beef. And here we start with chicken broth, chicken liver, and then rice. So there we go, we're, basically rice with chicken parts. Pretty good. Then after that, we do have some wheat gluten. I don't really like that. We have some dried egg. Egg is fine. Cornstarch isn't great. And then we have some, like, vitamins, potassium, and vitamin vitamin E, vitamin B12, supplements. So this one isn't that bad, but I don't like the wheat in it. But it's not that bad either. These were probably about $1.50 each a can, about. And then this one's the same, it's just beef. So we're going to have beef broth, beef, chicken, beef liver, food starch, dried egg, rice, and then we have some wheat gluten, canola oil, beet pulp, and then some natural flavors and vitamins. So again, pretty good. It has a little bit of wheat in it, but the main 3-4 ingredients out of 5 are beef or meat, chicken, beef liver. You know, so you have mostly good stuff for your animal. When you go to the store and you're going to buy an animal, you got to think. You can't just buy an animal without thinking about what they're going to need for themselves. And it's kind of like if you had a kid yourself, would you feed him or her McDonald's every day? I mean, yeah, you're feeding him beef and there's some lettuce on there. There might be a tomato on that hamburger too. Is that what you want to feed your kid every day though? It's really crappy, you know. You want to feed him chips? Do you want to feed him, you know, stuff like that? Or do you want to feed him real home-cooked meat and vegetables and stuff like that if you had a human baby? So you got to think about that. When you buy a pet, you might have to spend a little bit more for quality food, and you know, that's just something you got to look at because you want your pet to be healthy and live a long life. I worked at a vet office in the past and I saw countless dogs and cats. When they got closer to old age but still had plenty of life left if they were fed well, I saw lots of animals that would get sick with kidney diseases or liver diseases or so on, and most of the time I would attribute these, and the doctors there would attribute these to just the food they were eating, because over time it's just not good for them, and over time it can hurt things inside them. So let's go to, well, I'll go to cats next. Treats is another huge thing for dogs. People buy all types of treats for their dogs. They go to the store and they say, oh, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. Read the ingredients, guys. Treats for dogs are some of the worst things you can get. Some of them are great, but lots of those treats, look at the back. Most of those treats start off with wheat powder, wheat gluten, wheat. It's stuff that your dog doesn't want, doesn't need. But they flavor them in a way that your dog likes them. Plus dogs will eat almost anything. So you got to look at those treats, make sure you get something healthy. For me, I don't give my dog too many treats. Like in the natural form of, you know, little treats and biscuits. Biscuits are pretty bad, depending on the brand. They're just all fillers, all junk in them. For treats for my dog, I usually get something like pig ears, cow ears, bully sticks. Here I got pig ear strips. So these are just like cut up pieces of pig ear. Nothing done to them. They've probably been slightly cooked or something like that, dried out, and they're just pig ears. Nothing else is in them. Completely natural, safe for your dog to eat, and it's not going to hurt them. It's not going to be bad for them. So if you get treats, try to get something that is natural for your dog. Don't go to the store and buy the cheapest of the cheapest. Yes, I understand, you know, some people, you're trying to, you know, save money and stuff, but when you're talking about what you're putting into your dog's body, just like I said, of what you're putting into your kid's body, if you had a human child, you know, you want to at least get something that's pretty good. At least don't go for the cheapest of the cheap. Look at the ingredients and see what it says. For cats, and I also use this for hedgehogs, I actually bought these mostly for my hedgehogs. I do feed my cat some canned food. She gets raw food as well, raw chicken, raw beef, cooked beef that I cook at home sometimes. But what I have here is grain-free cat food. And if we look at the back of this, our first ingredients are chicken, chicken broth, chicken liver, carrot, sweet potato, and then some flax seed, and then some vitamins and minerals. So basically the first main ingredients are chicken, chicken broth, and chicken liver. So you're getting mostly chicken meat in this, instead of starting with, you know, you want to be careful if the ingredients say like meat byproduct, and then one after that, like if that's the first ingredient, and then after that it starts going into wheat gluten and wheat and rice and wheat, and the only meat you have in there is meat byproduct, not very good. So this is a pretty good food as well. First 3 out of 5, actually first 5 out of 5 are just chicken, chicken broth, chicken liver, carrots, and sweet potatoes. So again, cats don't really eat carrots and sweet potatoes in the wild. Like, you'll never see a wild cat type. Of course, cats are domesticated animals and everything, but you're never going to see like a leopard or a cougar or something eating carrots and sweet potatoes. It's not really going to happen. So it's kind of weird that human companies have decided to put those things in. There might be a reason for it, I'm not sure why. But you want to make sure the first main ingredients are the meat products. These are carnivorous animals and that's what they need. And you don't want to have a lot of junk in there. The less ingredients you have and the more meat ingredients you have, the better. So I just wanted to talk about that today. If you're thinking about getting a dog or a cat, a ferret, other animal, or if you have a dog or a cat, you may want to try looking at the ingredients and, trying to find another brand. They're not always more expensive. Sometimes there's a brand that's very comparable price that's just a lot better ingredients. There's tons of different dog and cat foods. I walked around the store today for probably about a half an hour and I looked at the back of tons of cans, and I've never had this brand before. Never had it. But it was one of the brands that was about $1, I think it was like $1.50 a can, and there were other brands that were $3 a can, and there were other brands that were 80 cents a can. So I went like in the middle and tried to find ones that were good, that were medium cost. So there are brands out there that are not super expensive that are pretty good. Because like I said, there's tons of brands out there. So do a little research and just want to get that information out there. Don't just buy any old dog food. There is a big difference. It's like feeding your dog or your human baby McDonald's versus homemade chicken and vegetables. Do you want to feed your human baby McDonald's or that? Homemade chicken and vegetables is my choice. So just wanted to talk about that. Again, I'm kind of starting to repeat myself, so I'll end this video now. But if you have any questions, let me know. And happy pet keeping. See y'all later.